Morning, everybody. Today, I want to talk to you about why we need to rather choose peace than anger or resentment or fear. I want to talk about it because it's close to my heart. I see it happening in a lot of people's lives right now. I'm also being confronted by it. And we need to know that in order to choose peace instead of fear and anger and all the negative emotions, we allow the consciousness to change, and we allow the greater consciousness on earth to change by what we choose for ourselves every day. So remember, in the aftermath, and still as well with COVID, and in the aftermath of lockdown, and maybe also going back into lockdown, some of the countries, we're all very stressed. Everybody is focused on their own anxiety and their fears, and there's lots of anger and resentment going around. Now remember, we all have old pain, old wounds from childhood or something that happened in your past where you've experienced some kind of wound or pain, whether it was due to the lack of belief in yourself, or whether your abandonment issues were triggered, and also a lot of people I see with resentment and fear for the future. There's no belief in the future. And when we have abandonment issues or that self complex where we don't believe enough in ourselves, it's very easy for it to get triggered at this stage. And then it's difficult to choose fear because we feel we need to go into the anger to protect ourselves, to protect our heart center, which is so important this year. But it doesn't help the consciousness if we try and fight back. It doesn't help the consciousness when we go into the anger or the resentment. And so many people that are living spiritual lives but still falling into that trap of not feeling good enough. And the littlest action from somebody else can just cause that wound to open up again. And like I said in my inspiration on social media yesterday, via Mother Mary, Mother Mary came to say to me that the more we allow that wound to open up, it's because we don't want it to heal. We want to be the victims. But we cannot live in a space of being the victims anymore and have joy and have peace. So somewhere you have to choose, am I going to cling to that wound? Am I going to allow that wound to keep opening by something that happens in my life that presses that button? Or am I going to opt for joy and peace and let this go and forgive and move on? But we don't want to forgive. We want the other person to say sorry before we forgive. Because in our minds, we think that if that person say they're sorry, that it would fix the pain. But it doesn't. They could say they are sorry, but you probably still won't believe them because they did it to you in the first place. So what I've seen in friendships happening is that people are doing something without trying to hurt the other person. The other person is taking it personally and then in some way reacting to protect themselves, or they think protect themselves, but not looking at the bigger picture as to how they don't invite joy and peace. But remember, we cannot do it for somebody else. You can only do it for yourself. You can only be the example of that. But if you did something that makes them react and you react back, what is it bringing into your life? No joy, not peace, only anger and resentment. And scientists have actually proven that when your emotions are focused on anger, resentment, and fear, your DNA reacts to that. And your DNA actually cringes up and it doesn't duplicate anymore. It doesn't renew the cells in your body. And that's where old age sets in because you put all your energy just into survival, into that fight or flight response. So they've also proven that if you invite energies or emotions of joy and peace and calm and gratefulness, that your DNA unwinds and starts duplicating. As that's where you renew yourself. That's where you renew your skin and everything. All of you already know that you stay in a space of renewal all the time. Our body is renewing all the time. And you can go and look up the facts. I can't remember them now. I think you get a new skin every month and like a new liver every 3 months or something. This isn't specific, you have to go and look it up. But we do keep regenerating. But if you stay in those emotions, you're not going to renew that liver. You're not going to renew your skin or your heart. You're just going to keep allowing it to break down and break down with that fear. So here's the thing. When somebody does push that button and that wound is there, and you know, oh, I don't like it when people do that to me. I feel abandoned. I feel not good enough. Then you can either stay in that anger and you can reject, or you can push back, or you can cut that friendship out of your life. But remember, Michael is here. Archangel Michael is helping us to use the mind to balance with the heart. And is that mind saying to you, yes, this will make me happy to block this person out of my life? Or is this mind saying to you, oh, geez, I love this person so much. Is this worth it? Is this really worth it? Or should we just put it aside and move through this? Because remember as well, when they push against your wound, it's also showing you whether you are still allowing that wound to open. And what the scientists have also proven is that your DNA directly influences all the particles in your surroundings. In other words, creating your reality. So when your DNA cringes up, there's negative effects in the particles in your reality, in your life, in what you create. When your DNA opens up and duplicates, there's positive effects in the particles in your life. So the thing is, when you just focus on inviting joy and peace, no matter what's going on in your surroundings, and that's why we do yoga and meditation, things where we balance the mind and the heart to make us strong, not to overcome, but to see through. Then you will see the positive effects if you know, oh no, I'm not choosing joy right now. How can I choose joy? How can I invite joy and peace into my life despite what's going on? And then allow that to also regenerate your body and allow that to create positive change in your life and your surroundings. I think that's so beautiful. And that's scientific proof. You can go and look it up. So the thing is, I've seen with friends, and I'm sure they won't mind me telling you about this, I won't say their names, that have been struggling with anxiety. The one friend, when she gets really anxious, she smokes. So she's struggling with a son with learning abilities, but she's coping by smoking and screaming. The other friend also has a son with learning disabilities. She's not coping. She has anxiety, depression, she's stressed out, and now the son that is not doing his work is reacting to her because she's getting into anger and resentment towards him. He's getting into anger and resentment towards her, and it's getting really ugly. And she's very sad and very hurt that her own child can react like that towards her. And I say to her, well, you can't change the way that he's acting or reacting, but what can you change? You can change how you are acting and reacting. You can change what you are creating in your house. Are you creating peace and love and joy in your house? Are you believing in that for your house and the space that you live in? Because if that energy is not created there, if there's stress, if there's anger, if there's resentment, a child's going to react to that. Because they are sensitive and their energies pick that up. And they are going to feel not worthy, not good enough. The friend that's smoking, I say to her, well, so you are showing the children that they aren't helping you cope, or how they act is making you not cope, so you have to smoke. So it's a negative effect. Now, I'm not judging. We all have our ways of learning and our habits that we need to overcome. But it's to be aware. We can't complain about the child if we don't bring the awareness here first. And we are all on that path. And on a daily basis, I also have to see when I'm out of sync and I am in a mood. I either go into the garden to work in the garden, or I do yoga, or I go and do meditation. Anything that I know will shift my energy, because we're picking it up out of the greater consciousness. It's not even yourself and your energies most of the time. But take responsibility for you. Take responsibility for how you act and react. Because when I bring that energy into my home, that irritation or that fear, or when a friend reacted to me or something I did without trying to hurt them, and I bring that into the house, it affects my family, it affects my animals. You guys know I've got 11 cats and I've got 4 wolves, and they need to be in harmony with each other. But if I'm out of sync, it's 5 minutes and my kids are at each other, which they never are. My kids actually never argue or irritate each other, except in a loving brother sisterly way. But when I'm out of sync, at each other, and 5 minutes later the animals are at each other. So that's why it's very important that I don't do it for them, but I know that if they are at each other, it's also taking away more of my joy. So how are we taking responsibility to say, I want that joy, I want that peace, but I am the one that needs to create it. So go and look at that in your life and ask the angels to help you. We've got spirit on our side. We've got spirit to help us be aware. We've got our mind and our heart to show us the truth and to help us decide that this emotion isn't worth living, but this one is. And if you create a foundation of something that creates peace in your life, whether it's swimming or walking or running or yoga or dancing or playing music or whatever it is, incorporate that for yourself so that you harmonize your body and your life. And that is how we change the consciousness. That is how we help humanity go forward. That's how we evolve. Because you can go and look in the mall and you can think, oh, we're still in the Middle Ages. We haven't evolved anything. But it's not true. It's the way that you are looking at things, because you're looking from a point of anger or irritation or resentment. And when we feel hurt, it feels like nobody cares. And we just fling it out there at everyone. So take responsibility. I'm sending you lots of love and healing. I'll put this video on YouTube as well so that you're free to share it. And please let me know how it's going for you. Take care. Blessings. Bye.